Welcome back. Welcome back. We are here live with Mike the Truth Jackson. Everyone's heard the name, everyone knows the stories. Maybe not all. We're here to get into the mind of Mike Jackson and basically get unpeel some layers and get to misspell, get rid of some of these mistruths, and understand who this person is, and where he's going, what he's done, what the plans are. So Mike, for the people who may not know, who may be under a rock and don't know who you are, could you give the listeners a very brief overview of your most recent outing?
Yeah,
Fighting wise.
I mean, many people know me, I'm from Houston. A lot of people know me from the media personality side. But then there's a lot of people who know me for the fighting as well. My most recent, excuse me, my most recent fight was at UFC 225 against Phil Brooks. Hey, hold on, clear my throat. There we go. Against Phil Brooks, CM Punk, whatever you want to call him. For me, it was just a situation where a lot of people were sort of upset that this guy came to the sport. Me, it was what it was. I didn't lose any sleep or anything like that over it. There was a guy that was, trying to try something out, but I saw it as the opportunity for me to, you know, um, take my brand to the next level, to get exposure and things like that, and I did so. And UFC 225, I went in there and I just had to beat the dude up a little bit, and I had to make him understand that this wasn't a sport that you just come in and try out, just on a whim. And relative 2 years is really a whim, at that level in the sport. So for me, it wasn't that I wanted to go in there and hurt the guy or anything like that. I just wanted to show him that, it's levels to the sport. And I did that. Unfortunately, a lot of people, um, I guess they didn't like that I didn't like really hurt the dude or whatever. So apparently, I got a bad rap for that from, Dana White and some other people. But, at the end of the day, they're not in there fighting. It was me doing my thing. And I'm 100%, I was cool with the results, and how I played the fight. So, for me, would I change some things? Sure, I'll probably change a few things here and there, but the overall outcome of the fight, that's what it was, and I wouldn't change much about it.
Great. Well, it's as you highlighted, 2 years is a period of time. It showed most definitely that some potential improvements was made. But for me, the most big thing that was taken away from that whole experience, and from what I saw from the outside view, is CM Punk has got some heart. He's definitely got some heart to stand in 3 5 minute rounds and take that kind of punishment. It
100%.
was.
There are a lot of people would have quit. And I wasn't. I carried him. I wasn't hitting him with 100% power. Again, I was just beating him up. But even with that, there are a lot of people in this world who, especially those who criticized him. There are a lot of people who would have quit just off of just getting repeatedly punched in the face. I mean, he had to go to the hospital after the fight. He was in the back getting checked out by the doctors. He was throwing up. He was vomiting. You know, so he was severely concussed. But at not one point in that fight did I ever feel that he was just gonna give up. I felt him. He kept moving. Now he got hit a lot, but he stayed active. He was trying submissions and all kinds of things. He stayed in the fight. But again, there's levels to it, and it's just that's what it was, and I had to let him know.
He definitely stayed busy. He definitely stayed busy. I think even going back to that match and the pre-fight sort of talk and promos, etc. And he was definitely promoted, I would say, over yourself. He was definitely promoted. He's clearly got a bigger name, etc. I mean, did you get the sense that they, like Uncle Dana or the powers that be of sorts wanted him to win to sort of catapult his career so it could be like another Brock kind of thing, or was
No,
it
I
sort of?
don't think it wasn't. It wasn't that. Do I think they wanted him to win 100%? But look, I understand the business side of fighting. I'm not just a fighter. I'm a businessman as well, and I understood what it was. So I didn't. I don't take offense to that. But do I feel that they wanted him to win 100%? And the reason why, because it made financial sense. That was the only reason he was here. If he goes in there and he beats me, he gets the win. You can keep the train going. But I stopped the train. But I told people what I was gonna do. Like I said, I told from the very beginning of this entire spectacle, before the golf fight, I told people what would happen if we were to fight. I said, Punk's best chance is to fight Mickey Gall, because that was what Gall did. I told people that what was going to happen, and then I said what I was going to do initially, and so they legit felt that this guy was going to beat me to keep that money train going, but I told him he just wasn't ready.
Mm. He tried. He most definitely tried. We saw it. We definitely saw that.
Oh, 100%. Like, I mean, he put up a valiant effort, but it's just one of those things. It doesn't matter. I mean, and again, I know my position as far as fighting goes, but that's just like me trying to go out here and fight Tyron Woodley, and you know what I'm saying? It's like, I know, like, I can't compete at that level. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, I wouldn't put myself in that position. But for whatever reason, they thought he was going to beat me, and again, you don't go into fights not thinking you're going to win. I feel he felt in his heart 100% that he could win, that he could beat me, because you're not going to, no one is going into well, realistically, no one is going into a fight was like, man, I'm here and I'm just going, I don't think I'm gonna win. I don't know. I'm gonna lose. Like, no real, unless you're going in there, with to get a check or to throw a fight. Outside of those things, no fighter in their right mind is entering a fight thinking that they're going to lose or not, or thinking anything opposite of a win. It's just not, that's not a fighter's mentality. So I feel wholeheartedly that he felt he was going to defeat me. It's just, again, there's levels to this, and I told people what was going to happen.
Yes, 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 indeed. Yes, indeed. What are the plans moving forward? I mean, obviously, you're a very well-rounded individual, so fighting is clearly not just your game. You clearly enjoy prize fighting. I mean, has there been any sort of has any other organization sort of reached out? Are there plans to pursue a mixed martial arts career, or?
Man, I'm just doing my thing, man. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. Whatever happens, happens. I don't really plan any of this out. I'm just out here enjoying life. Trying to make positive changes in the world, whether it be for fighting, whether it be with the photography, the social justice, whatever that I'm doing. That's what's next. I've had people reach out to me from, like, I had some Canadian. Apparently, about a bunch of people in Canada want to fight me. I don't know why. Maybe they're CM Punk fans in Canada. Who knows? But a lot of fighters from Canada have reached out, talking, trash talking, wanting to fight. One dude had a promoter reach out to me, and I was like, "Yo, I'm under contract. Like, well, this is a moot point." And, like, I felt bad for the promoter because he was kind of thrown into this thing, unbeknownst to him, of what was really going on. You just got a lot of stupid people out here. I've had what's the British Jersey Shore guy? He's in Bellator.
Aaron.
Like, he wants to fight me.
Aaron Chalmers, I think.
Yeah, he hit me up
Yes.
recently. He was like, "Hey, so what's up?" And I'm just like, "Yo, like, well, so." Yeah, a lot of people want to fight me, but it's one of those things. We just got to see what happens. I wanted the Artem Lobov fight. At 55. We had mentioned, and again, even when this was initially stated, like, it wasn't like I wasn't calling him out in a negative way. Like, I got respect for fighters. I'm not out here trying to make the sport look bad or talk down on it. I just felt that was stylistically, it would be a fun fight for the fans. That's really what it was. But they scheduled him for upcoming fight. So who knows? Maybe I get some in early 2019. I'm not fighting until 2019 anyway. So hopefully we get some early in the year, like January, February, March. So first quarter. So we'll see what happens as far as fighting goes. But outside of fighting, man, I'm just doing my thing, enjoying life, traveling the country, taking pictures, eating food on the Truth Food Tour, and that's about it.
Right. So before I move on, so you're still currently signed with the UFC, then I take it?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know why people think differently.
Well, Uncle Dana and he's rants and stuff. So I thought
people and they run with that, and it doesn't make sense. It's like I posted stuff about being that I'm still in the USADA testing pool. I was at the PI not too long ago. People just look. It takes nothing to just do a little bit of research. Like, you can clearly Google it. All my stuff is still on the site. It's just people run with things. People just hear something and they run with it, as opposed to look. It literally, you can just take seconds to find out that I'm still signed, but no one wants to do that. They just listening to what Dana's saying.
So let's jump into the DeLorean and let's go back in time a little some, to when you was obviously younger in age. Where at what point age wise did you start to think about full contact sports, prize fighting, and how was that sort of journey, and how did that sort of manifest into to what you've achieved to this date, kind of thing?
Well, I mean, I was just always a fan of fighting as a kid. I never competed or anything like that until I was an adult, but I was just a fan of combat sports. And the opportunity rose when I was older, and I jumped on it. I mean, it was no special, like, no crazy story. Like, I wasn't bullied or anything like that. I was just a fan, of combat sports. I like karate or kung fu movies, pro wrestling, boxing, and it just fell in my lap.
I like it. Straightforward, to the point. That's how we did it. So what were you watching, like, as you say, karate movies? What, WWF, I guess? You were old enough to watch WWF.
Yeah. I was, I mean, Ultimate Warrior days. That was the time that came up. I was real big, obviously in the Attitude Era. That's when I was really watching. But when I started watching was, the earlier day, Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant. Like, those were the early, or even, when it was the Rock and Roll Express.
Yes.
That's when I first got started in wrestling. But the time that I was really of age to really understand what was going on was the Attitude Era. With The Rock is still top one of all.
Mm-hmm. Indeed, you smell what the Rock is cooking. Classic era. I think a lot of people grew up on that and got their idea of entertainment and sports and stuff. And how long was that journey itself? I mean, did you take sort of classical karate, taekwondo, or anything like that?
No, I didn't. I wasn't allowed. My parents said no, or my mom said no. I dabbled, did some boxing here and there. No real formal training or no competition, and then I didn't really get into actual fighting until I was an adult.
Whoa. Okay. So there's still plenty learning wise for you to do. I
mean, you're always learning. As far as combat sports goes, you'll never stop learning. It doesn't matter when you enter just learning about whatever style of fighting is. Yeah, but you're always learning.
You have to be. You're never going to grow. Every day should be a learning day. Most definitely, you need to be improving and sharpening and honing those skills. So, you can be the best at what you want to be, or what you want to achieve. Are your goals ultimately championship?
No, I just fight because I just enjoy it. Like I've said, I've never had aspiration of being a champion or anything like that. I just do it because I just love the sport.
Mm, mm. And what's the sort of, what's your view and your idea on the actual business itself, sport wise? How are you finding? I hear a lot of, well, not a lot. Well, I guess I would say a lot more definitely complaining about the show money. Was it the show money and win money or whatever it is?
Mm-hmm.
It's not like a clear defined. Okay, you're fighting this person on this date. If you fight this person, we're going to pay you this amount. But it's broken up, and then there's a Reebok deal and all sorts of stuff. So, how do you find the actual sport business itself?
It's still the early stage. I mean, obviously the business itself is growing. And what people don't understand is like there isn't one company. Everyone is on like the UFC pay scale. Like that's it. No one thinks about the smaller organizations. And what people don't realize is the businesses aren't. MMA promotions itself is not bringing in crazy amounts of money. What people think. People just look at the UFC. I work for LFA. Legacy Fighting Alliance, as well as a smaller company called Fury Fighting Championships. These guys are making, the main events are making at best a couple $1,000s, and these people have to sell tickets to make up a large portion of their purses. Literally outside the UFC, every promotion requires at least some of their fighters to sell tickets. Even Bellator puts a lot of the ticket sellers on the undercard. So that's why you don't really see big names on undercards. It's typically a lot of you'll see big name local fighters, but those people are brought onto the cards to sell tickets because that's how promotions make money. So as far as the finances go, look, you have a lot of people complaining about fighters' purses who aren't fighting. They aren't competing. And they also don't understand just the business side of things. They don't understand the overhead. They don't understand what goes into this. Should fighters be making more money? 100% they should. But we don't know the exact value yet, so we can't put a number on this. This isn't boxing. You have these cards in boxing where Mayweather can make 50 mil, or Conor McGregor can run over there and make millions of dollars. Like, it's a different sport. It's a different business model. And the way it is right now, no one it's not going to be it's not possible to come in and change it 100%. It's going to take it's a slow process if they want to change it, but there's so much division, it's just not going to happen. Just like I don't see there being a fighters union, because everyone is so individualistic and people can't come together. So that's just the state of it right now.
I mean, are you pro a union? Do you think that's a good idea?
I think it is. I think it would be a great idea. Given how the business side of the sport works, but just realistically, I just don't see it happening.
Okay, and excuse me, with all of that, all of those things, and as a fighter, what you should be concentrating on is making yourself better and concentrating on your opponent's weak points, or however you want to do your training.
But it's more than that. That's what people don't understand. Like, it's more than just training for a fight. Like, people on the outside, they see that. Even from a fighter's perspective, you have a lot of fighters who are just like, I just want to fight. And that's cool. But if you just want to fight, then you need to have a solid team around you to pick up the slack elsewhere. It's not this is a business. Like, yes, it's a sport, but this is also a business, and you have to know how to play the game. If you don't know the business side of this, you're gonna get it. The company is gonna take you for everything, not just financially. It's gonna take you for all the time that you put in, for the wear and tear on your body. It's gonna be worth nothing if you don't know how to play this game. And there's a lot of people who don't know how to play this game. That's why when they're finished, they don't have anything because the game played them. That's when you have guys like Chuck Liddell fighting at 48 years old. There's no reason Chuck Liddell should be fighting. Chuck Liddell probably fighting right now because he was employed by the UFC, and then when the UFC got bought out by WME-IMG, they let Chuck go. He wasn't getting that check anymore, so you got to make it somehow. And, Chuck came at a time, it was early on. Just look at any sport. Look at basketball. Look at football. These people weren't making it when these sports were growing. They weren't making the same amount of money that they're making right now. Jordan, he made all his money, toward as far as basketball goes on the tail end of his career. His money was made through endorsements. That's how a lot of these guys did early on. You know what I'm saying? And that's just where we're at right now. So if you don't have a solid team around you, you're gonna be like Chuck Liddell at 48 or Roy Jones Jr. All we can go down the list. You know what I'm saying? Not everyone is a Floyd Mayweather or even a John or Daniel Cormier now. Not everyone is these guys because they didn't have that business acumen. So I know people like to say, "Oh, fighters need to just, fighters need to be training and fighters." But people have to understand that when you're a fighter is an individual business. Each fighter is their own business, whether they understand that or not. Just like I'm my own, but I realize I'm my own business and I took advantage of that. But there are a lot of fighters who haven't, and it's not their fault. They just don't know any better. You know what I'm saying? Ignorance is a real thing out here, but life don't care if you're ignorant or not. Life don't care. It's just that's an advantage for life, and in this sport, it's gonna come after you real quick.
Most definitely. I mean, you definitely seem wise, more than wise, and hip to the game in that respect. I mean, is it through experience, or is this you just being a very sort of studious person, peeping the scenery?
I'm a studious person. I don't like. I've never 100% like. I've never been got by this game, and I never want to be, So I've definitely been stayed on the up and up. But again, I've seen it happen to other people. I see it happen on the daily, whether I've seen it happen at the lowest level and I've seen it happen at the Chuck Liddell level. You know what I'm saying? So, and I've seen it everywhere in between. And I don't want to fall victim to the sport. I want it to be a mutually beneficial thing for me in this sport, or me in combat sports. What I take from it, I want to give back, and vice versa. What it takes from me, I want it to give back to me. And right now, that's the place that I'm in. It's not, no one is getting the upper hand on the other person.
Cool. Are you going to continue in 19 in your chosen weight class? I mean, you've mentioned going down to like 55 and stuff. I mean, are you pretty fluid in regards to that respect?
I fought at 55 before, early in my career. For me, it's just a matter of, sacrificing things. Right now, it just made no sense for me to try to make that type of attempt or of a cut. The two fights that were offered to me in the UFC were 170 pounds. But if the right fight is presented to me, then I'll definitely make the needed sacrifices. But I would only fight at 50. Well, I mean, I don't. As far as MMA goes, it only makes sense to only fight in the UFC. But if I were to, no longer fight in the UFC, I would go to just boxing or kickboxing, and I will most likely stay at that weight class. But like I said, as far as 55, it would be in the UFC, and obviously I would be compensated greatly, for that type of cut.
Yes, indeed. I mean, what are your thoughts in regards to these weight cuts? I mean, there's been a lot of controversy of people, Uriah Hall, one of them, did his hardest to make weight and almost died apparently, and then was slated in the media about it, saying that he was partying, etc. But it's transpired that he was doing his best to make weight, etc. And fighters
who was partying?
Uriah Hall.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh.
So this is what was alleged, Mike. This is what was alleged after he didn't make weight, etc. There was all these memes and stuff saying he was partying in wherever he was, and that's why he wasn't taking the fight serious, basically. But that wasn't the truth. He was trying to do everything he could, to lose all of this weight. What I'm trying to get at is that some people are very, very good at making weight, cutting this dramatic body weight, dehydrating yourself down and stuff. I'm just thinking, what are the future implications? Should in my eyes, I think, if people want to cut weight, to have a physical advantage, that's absolutely fine. But I think there needs to be parameters. I think if you're going to be cutting or putting weight on, I think there needs to be a maximum and minimum sort of limit. People who are walking at 200 plus pounds, they shouldn't be, starving themselves down to 170.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. No one is forcing these people to do this. This is all free will. So, and I agree with you. Should people cut tremendous amounts of weight? No, I don't think so. But at the same time, like, they're choosing to do that, and they know the consequences of their actions. So I don't think that there needs to be a governing body over the weight cutting thing, because you're willingly doing that. I think that the regulations need to stay with anti-doping and things like that. I feel that's a great area where we need to focus on. But as far as the weight cutting, what you have is you have a technique or a skill or whatever you want to call cutting weight. You bring that over from wrestling, which in essence, it is a combat sport, but you're not punching someone, you're not getting punched with the when your brain is missing all the look. Can't think the word at the moment, but when there's not dehydrated brain, there we go. Yeah, I mean, there some issues or sequences in wrestling that you can be concussed, but it's very slim compared to like boxing or MMA or anything like that. That's where that technique came from, and that's how people have been trying to perfect it. But again, it comes down to the fighter willingly accepting that. You know what I'm saying? Like for me, I willingly chose to fight at 170 because I didn't want to cut weight. I made now. Could I fight at 55? Sure, I can. And I would have to make that conscious decision. But no one is forcing me to fight at either weight. You know what I'm saying? So one thing that we need to have more education and to help these fighters, and they just have to have the right people around them. If you're at one of these little gyms where no one really knows what's going on, like, it's unfortunate, but like, that's on you. We have to understand where we're sending our resources. If we start implementing like a team or a governing body over weight cutting, well, that money has to come from somewhere, like to pay these individuals. You know what I'm saying? And people don't think about that. People just like, oh, we need regulation over weight cutting. Like, no, we don't. We need education, as opposed to this enforcement of what people do to their own bodies. You know what I'm saying? So that's really what, as far as the weight cutting goes, that's where it needs to stay. We don't need it. We don't need anybody regulating it. Like, we don't need to use USADA for weight cutting.
Agreed. 100% agreed. And I'll echo the fact that education is a must. It is most definitely a choice that they make. I'm just thinking of long term. Everyone, obviously, it's about money. Sometimes it's not about money. It's about just fighting and proving, themselves, kind of thing. With the anti-doping, which again I think is a good thing. There has been, I would say, some negative effects as a result of sorts. As a result of USADA, one being the main thing, multiple people being quote unquote busted for taking drugs, them being all in the media and then demonized, and then USADA coming out and overturning the original tests that have been done. So was it Lyoto's?
Yeah. Well, I know what you're getting at, and I agree 100%. Like, they need to be held accountable for their actions. It's a problem when you can sit here and accuse someone of something, and then you find out like it was tainted meat or whatever. It wasn't the person's fault, and they'll be like, oh well, we'll just like cut down the suspension or whatever. But that suspension is still on that person's record. They're still known for, taking a prohibited substance, and that's the issue as far as USADA goes. Like, again, no, not everything is perfect. But that is something that can easily be rectified. It's just a matter of, are they willing to, because really what it comes down to is a lot of times people don't want to be held accountable for their mistakes. Even though people know that they've done wrong, people don't want to admit to that. And so that's clearly that's really what you have here. You have a situation where, USADA is, and again, that's the crazy thing, is like they're not really wrong because the person really did fail the drug test. It was just the reasoning behind the failed drug test. It's like if someone, hypothetically, I doubt this is even a way, but let's say someone like spiked it for someone's drink and put steroids in a drink, right? And that person got tested positive. Now, this person didn't know that their drink was spiked with it, but they still tested positive. But we need to have something that comes out and says, look, this person tested positive, or even just take the test off especially once you find out like it was legit, like not their fault. You know what I'm saying? But that's just where it is. It's a mistake that needs to be cleared up one way or the other.
Indeed, and the same. I mean, what are your thoughts? Reference the Nick Diaz situation, and I guess the Calvia, the young lady who tested positive for THC, elevated THC.
Oh, yeah. That's stupid too. And I know like her. I've actually smoked with her. I've smoked with her a few times. The whole. It's crazy because I get the levels. There is like, because I know USADA has their limit or whatever their number is, and I know for me, I've just stopped smoking like a week out, and I'm good to go. She must have been smoking like, a few days before weigh-ins. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of why she got popped. But it just sucks. It sucks that we have these. It sucks that rule is on the board because of the stigma of marijuana. But that's one of those things, like you got to know the rules. You got to know where you're fighting,
Yes, 100%. But also, I mean, is that indeed a fact? Is it because of the stigma related to it? Because a lot of people,
it's not a performance enhancer, man. I mean, and that's the other thing is like, unless you're fighting high, but that's what it is. It's not that people are fighting, high. Like the people that are being popped for marijuana, like they're not fighting high. What happens is like this person had, an edible or something, maybe like a day before weigh-ins, and THC remains in your system. Like, so yes. These people, they're high like a few days before, but it's still in their system, and that's how they get popped. But again, the issue here is that it just the marijuana has a negative stigma in general. And that's the issue here. And I know this for a fact because I've had conversations with people. I've had conversations with people in the athletic commission, and I've heard the way that they've spoken about marijuana. It's not as far as a performance enhancer. It's simply the stigma around the country. I know this from experience.
Yes. Well, it definitely does have a stigma, but also in light of the proposition, whatever it is in California and all of Colorado, etc., and all these states that are sort of decriminalizing or legalizing it, whatever it is. You would think, I take it that's not sort of filtering across the commission and stuff. They're not sort of relaxing a little bit more on it, kind of thing.
No, again, a lot of these commissions and things, like, everyone is individual. Like, no one is on the same page with all this stuff going on. And so that's what I'm saying is, like, that's why you're not going to see like a union or anything like that, because these people, they're just so, it's all about them. That's why we have all these separate athletic commissions that all, like, there is no single Like there isn't even a single rule set. Like there's different rules wherever you go, and depending on if you're in Texas or Louisiana or California, it's even up to their discretion on certain things. You know, again, people can do. It's there's no uniformity, so that's really what's going to happen here.
I mean, how difficult is that? Like, I didn't know there was that many. I thought there was only 2 different rule sets you can have.
Every state has their own athletic commission, and you know let me see. Every state has their own there is like a sort of like rule set, like a general rules that the majority of all this. Let's go pre the new little rule set that they kind of implemented. So before that came around, you had like a general rule set, but depending on where you are. Okay, so for instance, I'll give 2 examples for Texas. Between the amateurs and pros, you can't throw like a reinforced knee. Actually, even go more deeper than that. It's up to the promoter in that state. One promoter may say, okay, you can throw reinforced knees as an amateur. Another promoter will say you can't, or elbows, or anything like that. Or you may go somewhere, and this happened to me this was early in my career, where it was about when spats were still, like, people were wearing the leggings or the spats, and like the dude, I asked prior to the fight if I could wear them. I was told I could. I was about to go fight. I was the main event on the amateur card years ago, and literally during the co-main event, one of the commissioners comes in the back. He says, I don't think you can wear those. Well, I was like, well, I'm either wearing these or I'm fighting in my underwear. So you get to pick what I'm fighting in. So the dude comes back and he finally says, okay, they'll let you fight at them. And so I asked why, and these were his words. He said, because the commissioner doesn't like them. Like, what does that have? Because he doesn't like them? So that's what I'm saying. Like, so you may go to one state where a commissioner doesn't like something and you can't wear that or do that over here. And then you may go to another set where they say, nah, it's cool. You can do that. You know what I'm saying? So there is no uniformity, you know, and until we get that, you don't have all these crazy rule sets in different states.
That must be very challenging as a fighter to, you know, to do everything that you need to do, and then step in the, you know, before you step in the ring, you get someone come to you and say, oh, well, on this, for this particular fight, you can do everything, but, you know, 12-6 or whatever the you know, the rule that they're taking out or allowing kind of thing. It must be quite, kind of almost second guess kind of thing when you're doing things.
I personally, I've never been in that situation, but I would assume for people who sort of go to different states and compete, I'm sure that's how it may feel to them.
I mean, for me, a classic example would be the Eddie Alvarez and Dustin Poirier fight, where it was it a no contest? It was how viewed at the end.
Oh, for that knee, wasn't it like a knee who was getting up or something like that?
Exactly, and they played it from loads of different views and all that. But again, I heard talk about there was confusion in regards to what rule set they were using, etc.
Well, so think about it, right? Thinking about it now, you're used to fighting under a certain kind of rule sets for this entire time, and then all of a sudden they say, "Hey, we got some new rules." Which now you want these rules to be implemented. These are sort of positive changes. But they just come out of nowhere. And so you're ingrained to fight one sort of way. Now, they tell you during the rules meeting, which happens, you know, a few hours before the fight start. Well, actually, sometimes if you're like the undercard, it may be 30 minutes, you know, right after the rules meeting. But they've been telling you fight one way, right? Then all of a sudden you got this new rule. Oh, no, you can do this, right? So then you fight and do your thing. You may or may not make a mistake. But let's say you fight like, I don't know, a month later, 2 months, whatever, in the same 3 months later. And then you go to another place, we don't use those rules anymore. Those rules over there, we use these rules. And you're just like, well, what's going on here? Like, we need uniformity in the sport. And it's going to be hard. That's what it's just going to be hard.
Most definitely. I guess a lot of people take the cue from the UFC, I guess.
in that respect. But I guess there'll be a change. I mean, what do you think how do you think that's going to sort of manifest? Do you think that's going to be from the top down, or do you think that will be driven from fighters, middle management upwards?
Man, I honestly don't know. That one I haven't really thought about it much, but it's probably gonna have to be with the fighters, like because that's the commodity here. This is the product are the fighters. You know, until fighters, and again, you got to get fighters to come together. So not only do you have to get fighters to side with you, because now they're like, all right, let's just say hypothetically there was a strike, right? Let's just say all the UFC fighters was like, yo, we're gonna do this. So now as they strike, they're like, man, how am I gonna eat? Because you have to understand that fighters get paid at different levels. An entry level fighter making like 10 and 10 or 12 and whatever he's making compared to, you know, someone making 50 and 50. You know what I'm saying? Their outlook is going to be different. So trying to find someone in a financial situation who's making 12 and 12 to put them even, again, a mid-level fighter, let's say he's making 50 and 50, just to put those, and they're not really far apart. A guy making 12 and 12 and a guy making 50-50 is maybe, I don't know, 4 or 5 fights, just depending on that person, you know? But let's even go further. Someone making 12 and 12 and someone making 100,000 and 100,000. It's just going to be different. So to trying to get these fighters who are, again, these aren't employees of a company. These are all contractors. So they're making a living is all about if this person gets a fight or not. Now, if I strike, I don't make any money. I'm eat. You know what I'm saying? So that's just what it is. And that's why I just don't see any now, I would love it for it to happen. I want it to happen. But just realistically and logically, unless something just crazy happens, I just don't see this coming to fruition.
Let's be positive. Let's try and remain positive. But I hear exactly what you're saying. It will be very difficult, even based upon wasn't there two different ones to begin with? Like Leslie Smith was doing one, and there was another one.
As far as what?
The union stuff.
Man, I've heard at least 3. I've heard at least 3 things going up, and they've all like fizzled out. I want to say Leslie, what she's doing is the most recent. I mean, we follow each other. I see the things that she posts. I've shared some things as well. But we gonna see. Yeah, I think what it's gonna take. Here's okay. Just hit me. It's gonna take some crazy like lawsuit against the UFC. Because that's really the only person this is gonna. You can only hit them. Like you can't sue Bellator. Like that's not gonna work. It's gonna take. It's gonna take a crazy lawsuit against the UFC, and that person's gonna have to win. If they lose, it's a wrap. That person's gonna have to win. That's gonna be sort of the catalyst for any type of change to come. But until that happens, we're gonna be in the same position.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, well, I guess the Mark Hunt thing that's still going through, isn't it?
I'm unsure. I don't know. Well, I think so actually. No. Unless it was settled recently, which I haven't heard anything. I want to say it's still going on,
which is very surprising for me. Well, I guess maybe for a lot of people, because I thought based upon him suing the UFC, I didn't think he'd be scheduled for fights.
But that's the thing. Like you're looking at this like an employer. Like he's a contract. Now I guess in theory, you're suing these guys. Why would you fight for him? But again, he's a contractor. He needs to make money. You know what I'm saying? So despite the lawsuit, I don't see why he wouldn't fight. I mean, because even when think about fight, because typically I'm sure his beef is with like a Dana White or somebody, right? Even at the events, you don't necessarily run into this person. You don't see him. You know what I'm saying? So now again, I'm don't quote me on any. I have no idea how that part of the law works as far as someone suing a contracting employer. But to my understanding, he can still work. I don't know. So we'll see.
Yes, yes, yeah. It's definitely an interesting one. Um, where did you get your moniker from?
The truth.
Indeed.
I actually got it years before I fought, but before I began fighting. A friend of mine, his name is Vince Camper. Right now, he plays in the Drew League. He's a basketball player out of Cali, um, MVP of the league. Great player, great friend. Anyway, we met in college. He was playing for. I was at Texas A&M. He went to Tulane University, and this was right when Hurricane Katrina kind of displaced everyone, which Tulane was in New Orleans. They got displaced. Met him, just kicking it. My dude doing like a little freestyle. I was on the beat on the desk with the pencil. He was giving bars, and he just dropped a line. He something like "I was the truth," and I forgot what the actual line was, but that just stuck with me. And so he called it to me. I remember just that running with it, and then years later, when I was fighting, and it was like, you got to fight your nickname. And I was like, well, people call me the truth, and that's kind of how it came about as far as on the fighting side. But I actually got the name was given to me years before I started fighting.
Through adversity, struggle, and strife, two individuals come together, and a name and a relationship and a bond is created.
Yeah, we're still friends. Like I said, he's doing big things with his basketball career. He's someone who could have easily been in the NBA. He trains with a lot of guys, but I think the NBA is really a political thing as well, and I think politics kind of kept him out of there. But he's doing amazing things over in the Drew League. Again, they call him the body snatcher for a reason, and poof, he's making him look dirty over there.
Could you, for people, and from also for myself, what on earth is the Drew League? I've never even heard of that. Is that like an independent?
Yeah, the Drew League is it's based out of Cali, if I'm not mistaken, and it's just high level basketball. Like kind of like, I don't want to say street ballers, but you'll get like NBA players during the offseason. Houston's own James Harden will go out there and play. You'll get some former NBA players that play as well. You'll get people who play in college at the highest level. It's just a great basketball players. And so the league was put together. I want to say it started as a summer league, which kind of morphed into what it is now.
Right. So I take it, is that like televised or?
I don't know if it is televised or not, but they do air. I mean, you can catch highlights. All on. They have their own YouTube channel and things like that. Oh, okay. It was started in 73. Started in 1973. It was just started with like street ball and professional players. So it's just a way for these people to stay active. It was like I said, it was a summer thing, but it's grown. Over the past 40 years, 50 years, almost.
Morphed into something totally different now. Well, not something totally different, but something a lot larger, I would imagine. That must have been a very sort of grassroots kind of thing, and then now it's sort of morphed into a lot bigger and high profile sort of situation.
Yep, 100%, 100%.
What's your thoughts on Colin Kaepernick?
Colin Kaepernick, man, I am 100% a supporter of Brother Kaepernick. Really what you have going down is people, like everyone is different, right? Mm-hmm. And we have a situation right now, and you have the people in power, so to speak. It's a lack of empathy for people who don't look like you. And you have Kaepernick, who's out here, trying to make positive changes in the country and trying to, educate people. But you have those people that he's trying to educate, for the most part, they just are unwilling to learn. They're so stuck in their ways. And I get it. People fear change. People fear things that are outside of their norm. but you can't come together as a civilization, as a country, whatever your space may be. You can't get better if you're just shutting people down. If you don't want to learn, if you don't want to grow and learn through other people's experiences. And so right now we're just in a situation where people are so scared. You know, everything is triggering. You know, you look at somebody wrong, people, and they call them the cops. You know, so we're in a time right now that everyone is so scared, and they're in fear. And until that sort of fear, you know, dissipates, man, it's going to keep getting darker. So what Colin Kaepernick is doing, you know, I'm loving it. And, you know, he's especially with the backing of, well, he's been backed by Nike this entire time, but you have this large corporation supporting him and helping him get this positive message out. You know, at the end of the day, it's all about love, man. And people, and we know people, everyone has their own experiences. They have things that are going on in their lives that sort of anger them and stress them out. But at the end of the day, it's about love. You know what I'm saying? And that's all colonists kind of do. And you have a lot of people out here who they just don't want this positive message to be spread. And they're trying to, you know, counter it with hate. But, you know, positivity and love always prevails. So that's what we're doing right now.
Definitely. I definitely would agree with that 100%. There needs to be less hatred and more love.
Just, you know, it's crazy because and I hate even getting in like these kinds of debates because you know, you have it really, a lot of people say, oh, you're the Democrat or Republican. Like, I'm neither. You know, I'm just a guy. Like, I have qualities and attributes from both sides, but I can't like put myself in one or the other as far as bubbles go, you know. But we just need people just to be nice. You know, you look at the opposite people who are against Colin Kaepernick, it's all negative. Like, it's all negative. It's he's doing this and Colin just like, nah, man, we trying to make things better like, just look at that. Look at what he's saying he's trying to do as opposed to what the opposition is saying that he's doing. And you like, this brother's over here doing all this positive, and it's not like he's just saying, like, these are facts. You can prove what he's doing is positive in the community. But every time, all the opposition is just saying negative things. That in itself should tell you something. It's like this dude over here trying to make all this positive change, and all they're doing is talking bad about him. So I mean, that again, that in itself, like, why would you want to be on the side of someone who's talking bad about someone doing good? That's like if someone was like talking bad about Santa Claus because Santa Claus is giving out presents. Would you want to be against Santa Claus? Like, no. I want to be on Santa Claus's side. Like, Santa Claus is doing good, so why would I talk bad about him? That's the same thing, man. So you just got people who are full of hate, and until they let that hate art, you know, we're gonna be in this situation.
Most definitely. I guess it's going to take a bit of time and some heat to warm some of these people's hearts and minds, and, you know, open them up to realize that, you know, life is way too short to be, you know, looking at small indifferences, and we should be looking at common goals, how to create better societies, and, you know, eliminate, you know.
but that's the thing. So you have that. You have it. I agree 100%. But what happens is people feel like if you're bringing in, like, if you're learning about new things, then you're sort of like erasing the old things and you're getting rid of it. And so right now we're in a time where people, you know, they feel as if their way of life is being threatened by us learning new things. That, you know, and more related to me, I'm a foodie, right? So I love trying different foods. I love trying different cultures of foods, I just went to an Indian spot a week. I eat Thai food at least once a week, or Vietnamese food. I go all these different places, right? This whole argument is like, you're talking to someone and there's like, I don't want to try Thai food. I'm good with my chicken nuggets and ketchup. And this dude's like 38 years old. And he's like, but you know, there's more than just chicken nuggets and ketchup, right? But you're like, yeah, I know, but I just really like chicken nuggets and ketchup. That's where we're at, where you have people who are so stuck in their ways that they don't want to try anything other than chicken nuggets and ketchup. Like, it's okay. Like, you can like chicken nuggets and you can like this yellow curry. Like, you can like both. But and to add to that, which I kind of neglected, we're in a time where everyone wants to be a winner. Like, if you're not first, you're last. It's kind of the Ricky Bobby thing. That's where we're at. It's like, you don't have to be a winner in life. Like, you can be a winner in your life in your own world, but you don't have to equate your winning to your neighbors. Like, you and your neighbor can win. You all can be on top. But you have it where it's like, if your neighbor is winning, then you're losing. And so I gotta break my neighbor down. Like, that's the mentality of a lot of people. Like I said, you can like chicken nuggets and ketchup, and you can also like yellow curry. Like, it's okay.
Most definitely. People are very comfortable of living inside of boxes and watching boxes and having those boxes dictate their reality rather than trying to get out of the box. You know?
Yeah. So people just need to be, that's it, man. And I get it, man. I talk to people. I know people in my personal life who, they're just stressed out from life. And it has nothing to do with like politics or race. It's like their job or their relationship or, their cars breaking down. They have all of these things going on in their life that can stress them out. And I get it. I understand, right? But even with, like, you don't have to take that out on the next person. You know what I'm saying? Just because you angry, like, you don't have to take, but that's what happens is you have people who have a lot of negative things in their life and they want the next person to feel their pain. And it's like, yo, you got to deal with that. Now, if you need help dealing with that, that's one thing. But because you feeling bad, like, don't try to make the next person feel just as bad because you feeling bad. Like, that's selfish. Like, deal with yourself. Like, you got to deal with that, as opposed to spreading your hate.
It's externalization, isn't it? A lot of the time, people who are like that, they dislike themselves. So rather than dealing with self, as you're highlighting, they externalize everything that they don't like about themselves internally and push that out onto anyone who they can, get their little mitts on, kind of thing.
100%. That's what you see with like the trolls on YouTube and on Twitter and all these people that come at me. I'm just like, dude, it's like you have to have something going on in your life where you feel it's okay to just attack. Like, you get people who just message you like out of nowhere. You'll send you a tweet, and whatever their tweet is, and you just like, why'd you have to say, like, you went out of your way to come because if there's someone that I don't like, again, if they just doing just dumb now there obviously disagrees. Like, well, if someone is doing something that affects me personally, then that's one thing. But if someone is just doing something and I don't agree with it, then okay, well, that got nothing to do with me. So why I'm gonna go interact with that person? You know what I'm saying? But we live in a society where, because of social media, because of the internet, because of the access to people now, you can literally just pull up your phone and tweet whoever. This is a new era that we're in, because you couldn't in 1990, you couldn't just get on Twitter and tweet Michael Jordan or Michael Jackson or Oprah or anybody. You just didn't have access to the celebrities or public figures that you do now. Yes. Like, whoever, you can just tweet and you can say whatever. Now they may see it, they may not see it, they may respond, they may block you, whatever. The consequences are, hindsight here, but you can legit just say whatever you want to people. And it's, and not to say that it's okay, but in people's minds, they feel it's okay. They feel that they can tweet Beyonce that, your music is trash and you suck and whatever kind of hate-filled tweet that they want to send them. But you can do that. And I even respect that people can do. I'm cool with people's abilities to do that. I'm cool with that, but they also have to understand their consequences for their shitty actions. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
like,
yes.
People have to understand that, and you got to be ready for what comes back at you.
Indeed. There's something called karma out there. You know, you're
Yeah,
throwing all this
100%.
negative stuff. You know, surely all that negativity is going to come back to self at some point. So, you know, be careful. Be
But you know what I'm
careful
saying?
out
It's
there.
like you got people out here who are just so negative, and you just like, but and how I think karma works, especially for people like that, is let's say you have someone who just always is like an asshole. It just being mean, right? And you always say, man, karma's gonna get him one day. Well, karma is just like he's gonna be mean to the wrong person, and they gonna give him everything he deserves. Like that's how karma I think work. It's the luck of the draw because sometimes you'll get people who are just assholes and mean, and nothing really happens. Never nothing happens. They just die an old person. And you're like, ah man, he didn't really get hit. Like they're thinking of getting his like he died at 80. Nah, life didn't get him. He lived to 80 years old. Like karma is like you got a dude like 32 who's just been an asshole talking mad stuff to people on Twitter or whatever. And then one day he says something to somebody, to the wrong person on Twitter, and that person on Twitter like finds him. Like that's in my eyes, like that's
Yes.
karma. You know what I'm saying? It's like and
Indeed.
and that could have been prevented simply if you weren't an asshole. Because that's why you
Yeah.
got put in that situation because you're an asshole. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And people don't get it. People think that they can there's almost like there's no consequences for actions. That's kind of like the time we're living in right now. And it's unfortunate because a lot of times there people don't get to like whatever they say online, it really doesn't affect them much. It won't really now you can of course you can go overboard and just say like some stupid, just crazy prejudice or racist stuff from like 5 years ago. People will find it now. But even that's like, think about all the people who say racist things and think about the people who are exposed. It's a very small number. So you're playing
Mhm.
an odds game now. You're just like, all right, I'm going to say some stupid stuff and I may or may not lose a job 5 years from now. And more likely, you're not. That's the thing is like people say so much crazy stuff and no one's held accountable except a small few. And you just kind of like wondering, are you playing the odds game? Am I going to be the guy who gets caught for saying some racist, homophobic shit like 10 years from now? You rolling the dice. You just playing the grand caps, and the majority of the time you gonna win. You gonna win. Like no one's gonna find out about it, and you gonna live your life. But there's that small chance you decided you wanted to run for governor of I don't know Alabama, and or no, let me give you a better one. Run for governor of like I don't know whatever liberal city. I don't know California, L.A. You're gonna go run out there, right? And they're gonna find like, we got a nice guy here, whatever, doing his thing. Oh, where's he from? Oh, he's from the South. Oh, let's check it. Oh, this dude's a racist, and you got caught because of your actions. You know what I'm saying? So it's just a crazy game that we live right now.
Mm.
That's how I look at life. It's just a game. It's a game with
Yes.
dire consequences, and you have to understand and you have to know how to navigate and play the game. And if you don't,
Mm.
well, game over.
That's the one. No more quarters can you put into that machine because this is done. Plastic 4 times.
I mean,
Um.
and sometimes you look out. Sometimes people run through and give you another roll of quarters. You just,
Yeah.
it's just who's your friend. You got to find out who's holding the quarters. If you can find
Well,
them,
I mean,
you're good. If you can't find that
yes.
quarter holder, it's a wrap.
I mean, there was about maybe 3 or 4 months ago. There was some tweets that came out. I think it was pre or post the TJ and Cody fight too. And there were some tweets about him using Twitter and some of the language that he was using on. And he was using the N word quite frequently. And he explained that where he comes from, he obviously hung around a lot of black folk,
Mm-hmm.
and the terminology that they used was the N word, and that's the kind of words
Yeah.
he would use around. Now, I get that. I can understand that, and I know Cody is younger than myself, but why would you be doing that on Twitter?
Here's the thing. So here's the thing. I would because I'm not the type of person who's gonna like you said something on Twitter 5 years ago. I'm not gonna hold it because and here's why. I understand that people grow and evolve and mature. Like I'm not the same person I was 2 years ago. You know what I'm saying? So if
Yes.
someone pulled up a tweet about someone, saying whatever, saying some crazy shit or whatever, 5 years ago, I'm not going to trip about it. The issue I have is when you come back and try to justify what you said. Like that's the issue is like the whole Mike Perry thing. You know, you know like the language isn't acceptable, right?
Yes.
And yet you still chose to use it. Like this wasn't a oh, this happened years ago. This has happened recently. And so you charge him up about it, and then his response is like, "Oh well, I say it around my friends and this, that, and the other." So here's the thing: these sort of hood passes and that people get, they're only relegated to your hood. Twitter is not your hood. Twitter is the world, and you have to understand that you're now in a public forum. You're no longer in your hood. So in your hood, you get a pass because what you say in the privacy of your hood, your home, or whatever, that has nothing to do with me. But once you expose that to the masses, to public, to the world, that's where now you have left your hood. So I can't respect your decision to do that, regardless of if Tyron gave you a hood pass or not. And that was the other thing is I had a problem with Tyron for even now. Again, if he gave me the hood pass, again, I have no problem with the pass you gave him, but that has to stay in the hood. And I had a problem with Tyron coming out and defending him, saying, "Yeah, I gave him a hood pass." Like that's cool, but he has now left the hood, so that pass is no longer valid. You know what I'm saying? And again, the whole, if you say it 5 years ago to come back to come back, full circle. If you say it 5 years ago, that's not my issue. My issue is when you come back 5 years later and try to justify it. Now, all you had to do is like, yeah, I said it, different time. I was younger, not me anymore. That would have been the end of it. Like, okay, cool. We get it. People say things, right? Especially given the current climate that we're in culturally here. You know what I'm saying? But again, people don't want to own their mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
No one wants to own their mistake. Just own like it, man. Like if I did something stupid, I messed up. I did a lot of stupid stuff growing up. You know what I'm saying? But you just it's past now. Like it was 5 years ago. Yeah, I said
growing up, isn't it? Part of growing up.
Exactly.
You do.
Exactly. So that's the issue. That's the issue is people try to justify their actions, and like that's the issue. Don't justify it. Just accept it, admit it, whatever, and be done. You don't even have to. That was other things like you didn't even have to apologize. You could like, it happens. I'm a different person, and that was it. You didn't even have to apologize for it because it happened 5 years ago. You know what I'm saying? But again, you went the wrong route. And see, that's the other thing is like you got to have solid teams around you, because even if you are racist, you got to pretend that you're not a racist if you want to succeed. But these people are so, whether it's racist or ignorant, that hatred in them is so at the top, they can't even hide it. Like that's how the racism is just exuding them. And you're just like, you can't even like tuck it in. Just tuck it in your pants.
Yeah.
They can't even tuck it in their pants because it's just coming out, it's just shooting out. And he's like, all right, well, I can't help you, my dude.
Definitely. Thank you very much for that, Sibling. I think not many people I've heard respond, especially with the Mike Perry. I was very disappointed to see that whole debacle with he got his DNA test and all this stupid stuff.
Oh man,
he
dude,
used that word, and I'm like, come on, man. I understand, as you've said, that you grow up, and of course you grow around lots of different cultures and stuff, and certain people will allow you to use them kind of words. Me personally, I'm not comfortable with it, but each to their own. But when you go onto the world's media using your social media platform, which people are watching, and use that kind of verbiage, it's a disrespect. And for Tyrone to condone that, it's a slap in the face, unfortunately, especially to what the forefathers had to go through as prisoners of war over there many years. We don't need to go into the history of that, but it's blatant. It's wrong.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Let's
Crazy.
yeah. Let's switch it up. We've got an event taking place tomorrow. UFC 228.
Yeah, UFC 228, man. I was supposed to be out there. Can't make it. I actually have to go to Brownsville, Texas, deep south. I got to go out there for a photo shoot. So I'm not going to be able to go to 228, but I'm very excited. I have two close friends, another acquaintance that a few other acquaintances that are fighting on the card. So I'm excited. I'm excited about it. Happening in the great state of Texas too.
Indeed, the great state, indeed. So let's go, man. So who you got, man? You got picks for the card?
I don't have the card in front of me, but the people that I'm rocking with, I got my guy Jeff Neal. He's out there. He's doing his thing. We have Charles Byrd. That's my guy doing his thing.
Oh, wait a minute. Wait. Jeff Neal versus Frank Camacho.
Yes.
Okay. So you reckon Jeff's got that?
Yeah, dude. The guy he's just another beast, man. He's on another level. I've been knowing Jeff since, man, probably like 2011, 2010, back in his amateur days. And I've watched just the growth, and it's been crazy to see it, and I'm loving it. And I think he's going to go out there Saturday night. He's going to show the world. People going to know the hand. You can always mess up his name. Is it the Hands of Steel? That's the other thing. It's a Hand of Stone, I think. Let me see. Hands of Steel. There we go. They don't see the Hands of Steel. The dude is a hitter. Charles Byrd is another one. The dude is just, he's just talented. He's overall just a legit fighter. They call him Kid Dynamite for a reason. He's taking on Darren Stewart, but I'm going with Kid Dynamite. And then
my fellow countryman Darren Stewart, he's got his hands full. I will say I've watched Charles Byrd. Most definitely, that is going to be a definitely an interesting fight, possibly a potential fight of the night if they're looking good.
Yeah, and then another one of my guys I'm looking forward to is Abdul Al-Hassan. They call him Razak Al-Hassan. Yo, all three guys train together. They all train at the same gym, Fortis out in Dallas, Texas. Man, this dude is a beast. I saw him. I remember the LFA matchmaker came, and he's a close friend of mine. He came up to me before his LFA debut, and he was like, bruh, he said, you need to watch this. I had no idea who Abdul was at the time. But he was like, yo, no one wants to fight this dude. I had to be, somehow he found someone to fight him. And this dude went out there and it was a starching. And then his next fight was a starching. And then the next fight was and I was just like, yo, this dude is legit. So now he's fighting. He's opening up the UFC 228 pay-per-view card. And then this is going to be great. He's taking on Nico Price, which is going to be, I think this makes for exciting fight. But I'm definitely going with Abdul Al-Hassan in this fight. I'm trying to think who else do I know on this fight, on this card. Roberto Sanchez. He's from Houston. He's actually the very first fight of the night. I don't know. He's just taking on a replacement. I don't know who that is.
Brooks.
Yeah, I'm trying to think who else do I know. Aljamain Sterling. Shout out to Aljamain. Let's do that thing.
He's got that. He's gonna get that fight.
Yeah, and that is I know Carl a little bit. We have a mutual friend, so I'll pull for Carl in this one. But yeah, that's all the people as far as I know on that one.
Okay. And what about for the main card? The main event even?
The main event, I'm going with, let me see, I'll go with Woodley by Melting of Face. Jessica Andrade. Man, I'm probably gonna have to go with Andrade. Just I like her. She's very aggressive. Yes. I like her. She's coming to throw them things. I forgot how to say this dude's name. Zabit. There we go. Zabit over Killer B. I like Brandon Davis. I like him. Yeah. I listen to how people speak and how they carry themselves. Mm-hmm. And I was watching him on one of the embeddeds, and I was just like, he was so unsure of himself, and I don't like that type of confidence. Now, again, that could be nothing. But if I'm a betting man, I'm going with Zabit just off of that, just off of that one sort of segment on things. Like he was just like, man, I'm here, and I'm really trying. And I'm just like, Even if you even if you go out there with your definite statements and you take an L, I'm cool with that, because again, as a fighter, you're going into a fight knowing you're gonna win. You're not going in there with any doubt. And I heard all of the doubt on Brandon Davis in his voice on that. So I'm definitely going with Zabit. And then I like John Doss's afro. I like John Doss's afro. I don't care. To be honest with you, I don't care, but I just like his afro. And then so that's it. That's my picks.
Okay, yeah, I'm pretty there with you as well. I'm there with you as well with all of those. I co-sign those, and I will potentially be having a little flutter on those. Indeed. Okay, thank you very much for that, Sibling. You've provided a plethora of information and something I think a lot of people are going to be able to chew on. We wanted to clearly talk about fighting and that side, but also just pick away, as I said at the start, just make people understand who you are. What's driving you, what you're doing, kind of thing. How can people get in contact with you? What's all your socials?
All the social media is at The Truth Jackson: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat. And then I have my podcast, The Truth About Stuff, which you can find on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher. And of course, you can listen to it at MikeTheTruth.com/podcast. And so, yeah, that's all my platforms. And, I'm always posting dope content. I'm actually, as soon as I get off this, I'm about to go find a few pictures of my guys, Jeff Neal, Charles Bird, and Abdullah Hassan, and post some pictures on the gram, some dope shots of them. So, it's all about providing the content, and that's what I'm here to do. And again, support just this great sport that we're in.
Definitely. Are you not on YouTube? I take it then.
I'm on YouTube. I want my YouTube. I post a lot of my interviews, as well as the fights that I cover. So like the events I mentioned, like the Fury fighting and Submission Hunter Pro Grappling tournaments. I post a lot of those matches on my YouTube. But that's really what it's for. But like I said, all of that the links on my YouTube is all on my social media as well.
Great. Thank you very much. It's been an honor and a pleasure to have you on, Mike. And most definitely, if you've got any announcements or anything else up and coming, we're more than happy to have you on for a part 2.
I appreciate it.
No problem at all. And again, thanks for your time. We will definitely catch you again.
Sounds good. Yeah, have a good one, man.
Peace, sibling.